With the words, "To travel is to learn," John Paul II, the most traveled pope in history, enjoined people everywhere to learn about their neighbors. Indeed, no better reason for travel exists than to learn about and develop a better understanding of the different peoples and cultures of the world. Certainly, this is education. I'm Andy Stangl, and I teach art history at the University of New Hampshire, art history and humanities. I have been fortunate to have been able to take art history students and humanities students through Europe, the Mediterranean and the ancient Near East for something more than 3 decades now. It's exciting, I think, to get to see people responding to the lands, to the cultures, and even to the foods which we'll eat at times, but most important, I think, to sort of broaden their perspectives and to enrich their cultural experiences by learning. Students should expect on the Art History Tours program what I would want to think as a rigorous and highly disciplined cultural excursion in the broadest sense, where during the days we are pushing ourselves through museums, galleries, archaeological zones, excavation sites, and during the evenings we are then able to experience a little of what one might casually call the local color. We just returned from Germany from our art history tour to Berlin and to Dresden and to Potsdam, and we had the opportunity there to look at not only German history itself, so enormously consolidated in its capital, Berlin, but we had the opportunity to look also in the great collections of the Prussian state galleries and the museums there that have wonderful antiquities from ancient Greece and Rome, from the European Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and up through Baroque into modern times. When we were in the Pergamon Museum, in the middle of the Spree River in the heart of Berlin, we saw there the altar of Pergamon, which gives that great museum its name. Under the same roof of that same museum, the processional way and Ishtar Gate from ancient Babylon that the Germans brought back to their capital of Berlin, also in the 19th century. And that came from Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon from the 6th century BC. We had the opportunity to be escorted through Berlin by a brilliant young member of Berlin's distinguished Center for Political Development, Volker Niemetz. I've known Volker for some 30 years now, and Volker really gives us a close look at his Berlin and a marvelous sense of the political perspective, old and new, past and present, historical and current. It really is exciting, I think, for the student. We met up again with Volker, who escorted us by way of the Straßenbahn to Potsdam. We spent the day there. We spent the first part of the day at Frederick the Great's Sanssouci, which is a wonderful bit of German Baroque, and the very site at which he welcomed Voltaire and Bach, a center of art and culture on the outskirts of Berlin, just to Berlin's west, 200 years or so, 250 years before our time. It was really wonderful visiting Sanssouci. And then for the rest of the day, the afternoon, we got to go to the east side of Potsdam and look at 20th century history to visit Schloss Cäcilienhof, which is where the Allied powers came together after the war, Stalin, Churchill, and ultimately our own American President, Truman. When our students return from the art history tours, I look forward, some weeks later, to receive their final work for the course. And that's, of course, their project, which they've chosen on a topic of interest, anything that related of particular interest during the period we were traveling, and of course their student journal. And I share with you, that to me is kind of always the more interesting of the two, because that's what they write down day to day with regard to their thoughts, their experiences, what they've enjoyed, what we've been able to do on the road that day, and put it in a little bit of perspective. Berlin, as one remarks today in German, ist bestimmt eine Reise wert. Berlin is certainly worth a trip.